The three topics I chose to do my homework assignment over were cloud formation and precipitation and air masses. So, the formation of precipitation and its differences. The main part of clouds is water. The water rises, it evaporates from usually large bodies of water, or it comes from a little bit of it comes from plants. Uh, it evaporates and it rises into the atmosphere, and because of the pressure, it starts to cool, and it it condenses into clouds. That water attaches itself to usually dust particles or other things that have found its way into our atmosphere. The 5 types of precipitation I found were rain, freezing rain, sleet, snow, and hail. They are similar in some ways, but how they form and the different ways in which they reach the ground are different. So rain, freezing rain, and sleet all start out the same. So they all start as clouds, water vapor, and the water vapor condenses and they start to fall. This is where they start to get different. So rain stays condensed liquid and falls to the ground. Freezing rain as it condenses and starts to fall to the ground, but as soon as it hits the ground or whatever surface it lands on, it freezes because of temperatures being too low or for whatever reason. After sleet, as the water vapor condenses for sleet, it starts to fall to the ground, but because of an air mass or temperatures and things, it starts to freeze on its way down. So when it hits the ground, it's kind of a slushy ice. Snow is different than all of these because it's an ice crystal. So instead of condensing and becoming a liquid, it goes directly from that water vapor gas into a solid, an ice crystal. So it goes through the process of sublimation. Hail is usually formed in storm clouds because winds will push ice pellets back up and they end up clumping together, and so they become too heavy for the wind to keep pushing up, and so they start to fall to the ground. There's 4 types of air masses that I found, along with there's some other things that I didn't really want to get into, but I'll mention. So there's polar, which is cold, Arctic, very cold, and tropical, very warm, and equatorial, which is warm and very moist. There's different things that can affect this, so it can be a maritime or a continental, which just affects the level of moisture in the air mass. In Oklahoma, we get tornadoes because Oklahoma is located very centrally in this plain stretching from Canada to Mexico, because we're very flat, so there's no mountains or anything to stop any air masses from colliding and whatnot. So polar air masses can travel down from Canada, while equatorial or tropical air masses travel up from the Gulf of Mexico and Texas, and they meet here in Oklahoma and Kansas, and they crash together, which makes the air mass and the air around it very unstable, which leads to severe weather and tornadoes. Airlift is very important because without it, we'd have no cloud formations, no climates, no weather. And without weather, we wouldn't have all our different climates and things like that. So there wouldn't be much diversity or life really on Earth. Orographic lift is that is forced upwards by mountain ranges usually, and is forced to cool and condenses. Convective lift is when these warm air masses hit a low pressure area and are pushed upwards because the air can't really go into the earth. So it's forced upwards and is cooled. These processes are very similar because the warm air is pushed upward and is forced to cool, but the reasons they are pushed upward are very different.